Good evening, morning, or night, whenever people are watching this. Last thing I need to check is how. Ooh,
That probably sounded bad for a moment. That was probably upsetting. Let's see here. That should be significantly better right now. This is what you get when you don't check your audio levels. Anyway, hello. It's me. It's your boy, AdminAnonymous, and today we are just going to go over a few things that yes, Kodo Drago, thanks for calling that out. I'm just gonna go over a few things, add a little bit more transparency to like how we are running things. I have a few notes, and perhaps, I mean, if I am too quiet, I can certainly bump this up. That should be a little bit better. I can also talk a little bit louder, but we can also boost my audio if I need. This is what I get for not double checking audio levels. Let's see here. Let's boost it just a little bit more. How does that sound? Yay or nay? We are going, if it still doesn't sound good, better still quiet. Okay. Let's go. Oh, wow. Audio is already boosted as much as it wants to be here. Well, you know what that means. I'm going to take our good old friend and we're going to put this at 2. There we go. That may be a little bit too loud. How does that sound? I'm probably going to start over because I forgot to hit recording as well. Because I'm going to put a separate recording of this rather than the live VOD. Oh, perfect. Okay. I do want to do a little bit of a restart of my intro as well. There we go. Let's hit recording. Welcome everybody to AdminAnonymous office / wherever I happen to be at the time. This is supposed to be like a little bit of a behind the scenes look and some transparency on how things are going. And I would also like to, if we can, if somebody sends a game to review, we can check out a game analysis a little bit with AdminAnonymous. A little bit more of a laid-back stream, able to talk directly to chat. While we get some people in a little bit, first thing I'd like to go over is a little bit of a funny gaffe we had on our last stream here. If I can pull it up, let's see if it saves all my information here. Let's see, did that save everything? Yep, it still has that. Okay, that should be good. We don't have to worry about sound here, but it was toward the end of this. One of our we don't need the audio on here. One of our video little gaffes that we made right at the end. All right, here it comes. So, when the game ends, broadcast director has to alt-tab out of the game real quick, and then this happens when it is not in windowed borderless mode. And that's a little bit of oh, I'm talking as if people can see it. I didn't switch my screen. There we go. That should be better. So here it is. So when we alt tab out in order to switch the scene, this happens when it's not in a windowed borderless mode, and that's just not a good thing. It's looks bad, looks terrible. It's something where that got fixed for the second game going on, because that happened in the first game. So little bits and pieces and things like that, we're constantly looking to improve, just make our production just that much better. And yeah, it's just a little fun thing to point out. It's always fun. Okay. Now the next thing, I'd like to get into some of the feedback that we've been receiving, particularly this last month. Let's do one of the biggest things that people have been talking about. This is from 2 different people, and I'm not going to go over their names in this stream, but in the general chat on our Discord, we had people say this. Someone said, "I just wanted to say how awesome it is that you're streaming the scrimmages. It is such a cool initiative, and even though the PLC doesn't have a ton of them, I can only imagine how much time and effort it takes to make it happen, especially during the week. I really hope we get to see more of it in the future. Thank you for making it happen." And also, somebody else said, "I also think streaming scrims is such an awesome thing. I think it makes the monthly that much more interesting when storylines and expectations exist, and I would love to see other teams get a chance to be streamed as well. I speak for my whole team when I say we thought it was a super cool experience." And our answer to that is pretty much we agree. The biggest prohibiting factor that is keeping us from going over all and doing more is a lot of the issues we're running into is we currently don't have an restart. Well, looks like we're back, and I'm picking up my audio again. Okay, it just looks a little weird. Okay, everything's back to normal. Probably. Yes. Okay, we're good. Oh my goodness, that's incredibly frustrating. Okay, I'm going to do... I'm just going to restart. I need to call my ISP, apparently. Okay, we're just going to do a restart. And hopefully this goes well. Welcome, friends, viewers, spectators, players, captains, to Admin's office. A little bit of a look behind the curtain, behind the scenes, to get some more transparency of what has been going on and what we want to do to improve our broadcast and our events, and to go over some of the feedback that we have received in the past month or so. The first bit of feedback we'd like to go over is it was received in our general channel on Discord. So I have a couple of people a couple of bits to read here. It is, somebody said, "I just wanted to say how awesome it is that you're streaming the scrimmages. It's such a cool initiative, and even though the PLC doesn't have a ton of them, I can only imagine how much time and effort it takes to make it happen, especially during the week. I really hope we get to see more of it in the future. Thank you for making it happen." And then somebody else chimed in, "I also think streaming scrims is such an awesome thing. I think it makes the monthly that much more interesting when storylines and expectations exist, and I would love to see other teams get a chance to be streamed as well. I speak for my whole team when I say we thought it was a super cool experience." And our general response to that is we agree. We want to do more things. And our largest limiting factor is we have no income to speak of at this moment, and therefore we have no outcome to give our talent. It is one of the more frustrating parts of really starting out any sort of business, is getting that ball rolling. And that is something we're currently looking to potential sponsors for. But as soon as we're able to start seeing some cash flow, seeing some income from that, we want to put that directly into helping pay our talent, make it a lot easier for people to do something throughout the week, as well as do like a larger series, like an 8-week series for a handful of teams for some sort of invitational, and do longer, better events. So this is just the beginning. We want to be able to do more. I want to be able to talk back and more with you and receive some input. I'll be watching some of the comments here as well. So that's our general response to that. I have a few more points of feedback to read. Most recent, when I send out a survey to the teams and players. Not every event. There was a period of time I wasn't sending that to every team, but we did this last event, and we had a few responses. And the first one is, I really liked the podcast, but I think having a different game in the background versus what you are talking about is very distracting. Moments don't have to match up exactly, but I do think the same game should be behind the talking. And this feedback has been sent to the podcast team. That is a good point of feedback. That's definitely something strange for the user experience to go, oh, they're talking about a game, and this doesn't quite match up. Now I'm confused. And so you're trying to watch what is happening, and something else is happening, and you miss some of the information and what our people are talking about on the podcast. So that's something that has been sent, and we're taking that into account. Another point of feedback, the event overall seems like a good structure. I'd personally prefer finals to be a best of 3. Maybe there's a way to change the Swiss bracket to 3 rounds or something to account for the game increase, if that's an issue. The general response to that is the structure of the events are essentially the way they are for a couple of reasons. First, we do it all in one day. And we believe right now, part of the draw of that is that you're able to set aside a day and enjoy just a day of gaming, a day of competition with the community. I see it as functionally, at least competitive-wise, no different than going to an event in person. The difference being that you don't go in person, but that you're going to spend your day with the community. It is a long day, and so changing the Swiss down to 3 rounds, even though there's more than 8 teams part of it, that's not something I really want to add, because the main reason we have the full Swiss rounds is to give as many people as many games as possible. That's one of the reasons why we don't do bracket, is if we do bracket, it would have to be single elimination. That means half the teams get out after 1 game. Versus right now, every team gets to play at least 2 games if there's a bye, if there's 3 rounds. But then if there's an even amount of teams, if there's 3 rounds, every team plays 3 games. And the way Swiss rounds work, everybody plays different people within the Swiss set. That's how Swiss pairing works, is every team the first round is semi-randomized. There is some seeding that goes into it, but then the second round and onward is like scores fight like scores. So 1-0 goes against 1-0 with a hard counter against if you've fought this team before. And so it can mess with the scores a little bit there. And it mostly messes with the people in the middle as much as possible rather than the extremes. But the point of that is that we want to get you more games with more people. And that's something that I feel is very valuable, especially since right now I'm the current tournament organizer. So we'll see if that ever changes. But that's the main reason why we want to keep this Swiss format the way it is. We did add the semifinals and the finals because people said it felt bad to be knocked out when you're in 3rd or 4th place when scores are so close, especially when you don't have a best of 3 for Swiss rounds. You're able to get more accurate scores if you do full best of 3 matches in the Swiss rounds. However, that's just a lot of time. Because currently you get like 10 teams, you're doing 4 rounds of Swiss, and then the top 4 are doing another game, and the top 2 are doing another game after that. That's a long day. That's a long day for our talent. And that's something we want to keep in mind as well, is after a long day, our best teams are the most drained because they have an extra game on top of playing the finals. So this is something where I don't know if there's going to be a perfect answer to it. We are going to do our best to take this feedback into account while still explaining why we're deciding to do things the way we do. There was the poll I sent out for, do we make the start time come up? And according to that poll, it looks like we're not going to do it this week, or this month, but we are looking to start an hour earlier in future months. And when exactly we do that start date, we're going to figure that out, but there will be an announcement for that. And yeah, it's an ongoing process where we're trying to just make the best event we can for the community as a whole. It's something where if we get so many teams, do we split per region? So because across 4 time zones, that's a lot. Can we split East versus West if we get enough teams where we run 2 separate events? That might be something we look at, but we're nowhere close to having that amount of teams to start really thinking about that. But those are the kind of decisions and kind of forward thinking we're doing right now. So, next point of feedback. I personally think alt accounts should be barred. Many players hide their ranks /1 tricks with alts, otherwise everything is well structured, maybe more pop off from the casters. Heart. And I agree. The problem is there is no real way for us to write this rule and enforce it. And this has to do with people's main account is the same one they're playing competitive on, or playing organized play on. The difference being that they're both competitive, but ranked and organized play are 2 very different beasts, where I mostly play support, but if I'm playing an organized play, I might go and play jungle for this team. And my play is not going to reflect in my OPGG. This is something where I personally don't see a lot of value in OPGG. You're not getting a lot of accurate data other than somebody's rank. And so you can kind of get the gist of how good somebody is, but if, say, you have somebody's account who plays most of their competitive play in organized play, like I do, my bronze rank doesn't really reflect my skill in organized play. So we run into this issue where it is near impossible to enforce. When I play a mid lane Lux and LeBlanc for a team, I've never played that in ranked, and so it'll never show up. Yeah, Shazbot says Shazbot didn't play mid until tourneys. So unfortunately, this is something where it becomes a self-balancing thing the more you play organized play, and you start seeing these same teams, and you can talk strategy with other teams. We put up the VODs as much as we can for us, and since our top 2 teams are always streamed, it is also another self-balancing thing where you can watch the top teams play, kind of see what their strategies are, and you can play around them, especially when you meet them in the Swiss rounds. And then that makes it harder for the best teams to stay on top, and it forces them to adapt as well. So everybody, it becomes this more crucible of improving each other. And I believe that's the big value in organized play. As far as alt accounts go, yes, alt accounts probably should be barred, but at the same time, it is up to the player. The rule we have is that you can't share accounts. That is something that could lead to smurfing. Smurfing is not something we really agree with. That's not a cool thing to do. It does ruin kind of the ranked competitive ladder, but that also goes into that's not something that necessarily affects us, because if you start going off of organized play and you start paying attention and don't look at OPGG, you'll have a better experience. I can promise you that. And you start tracking people yourself, tracking players and trying to understand their strategies rather than their rank and then whatever champions they say. You can probably run into, say, Proden plays Malzahar. You're going to ban Malzahar. But the thing is, that's going to happen after the first couple times he plays that in our events, and then teams start going, oh, don't let Proden pick Malzahar, he'll walk all over you. And it comes back down to the only thing we don't really have is a way to track our scores directly. Battlefy still has to fix their stats, but that's part of organized play. That's a rule I don't think we can really have because it's really unenforceable. Next up is the streaming delay update. Is pretty cool. There was some discussion about that. The issue here is I don't anticipate ever getting away from a streaming delay, strictly because stream sniping is a thing. It's almost impossible to prove, and we just want to avoid it altogether. That's the consideration we have to make. If we do some sort of live in-person event, we can consider that, as long as we don't let teams look behind and look at the screen, design our stage in such a way where that's impossible to happen. But that's the streaming delay discussion. So that's the feedback that we've received. I think the rest right now I want to go over a rules update. And this is mostly going to be a lot of just clarifying information. Now, let me share my screen again with the class real quick as soon as I remember to do it. So, all changes are going to be highlighted. Here we go. So, the current rules, like this one is in the rules, but this highlight is going to be the difference. Because this is the first time we're doing this, I'm going to go over the rules and why we have them the way they are. So first rule, this is an open tournament for anyone in the NA region with no rank cap. Open tournament is something that I enjoy because you're able to get into a match with perhaps people way beyond your skill level, and that's part of the charm. If you lean into that, you can have an excellent experience. We have NA region just because we have to region lock things just for logistics sake. but the no rank cap is part of like the open style tournament. Rule number 2, entrants must be 13 years or older to register. This 100%. We're going to make a little bit of a change. This should technically be highlighted. Entrants must be 13 years or older to register. This is 100% because of pricing rules or pricing laws in the United States. And it's going to be very similar in other countries as well, because NA isn't just the United States. But that is something we have to consider. We may not have pricing right now, but we're future-proofing ourselves because we want to be able to have pricing. Rule number 3, teams are allowed 2 alternates in their roster. This is because if you start to have 3 or more alternates, we want to encourage you to make just a new team, another team, because the open tournament is specifically for as many people to play as possible and people to enjoy this competitive environment. However, if you have like 1 or 2 alternates, that's a little harder to make a new team. But I always recommend, hey, give it a try. Try to find more people in your team, get more people in. I would love to think of incentives for teams to find to bring in new players, but once again, that's where we have no income now to speak of to think of anything for that. If we do some sort of invitational or longer form series, this is likely to be a different rule. Probably up to 4 alternates. But that's something to consider if we do a different kind of event. Rule number 4, all players must be in the Progenitor Circuit Discord during the tournament. This is for ease of access for the tournament organizer to the players. And the team captains say, hey, do you have any questions? I can jump in and talk to you very quickly. Because of some server bloat, this is something we're actually taking a look at. Sometimes people prefer to have their own server, but we want to encourage community. Then that's another thing this does. People are able to chat more in the Discord. One of the issues we run into is when people sign up, like I see people on Battlefy sign up as solo members, but then they don't join the Discord. And then they are unresponsive to the tournament organizer, to me, about anything that I try to get a hold of them for, and so I have to drop them and go, cool, we only have, instead of the 5 solo signups to make a team, we only have 2. 5, all players are expected to abide by the Summoner's Code and basic expectations of conduct. This rule is 100% because so that the rule exists, and because the rule exists, we can, if somebody is mean and is a dick, we have it in the rules. They can't hide behind, like, well, that's not part of a rule. No, it is. You have to actually be a basic, decent human being. Don't be rude to people. Number 6, any champion that is released in the past 14 days is not eligible to be picked. This is a pretty straightforward. We want to avoid any huge game-breaking bugs. 7, players may only be registered to one team and are not allowed to change teams after registration is closed. This one is obvious on its face. However, the not allowed to change teams after registration is closed. Also, people are not allowed to add or remove players from their roster. In the past couple events, we've been a little loosey-goosey with this, allowing emergency subs and such. But part of that is we're going to have to start cracking down on this, especially as we start getting larger. Because allowing an emergency sub in, say a team gets to finals with their roster, and then they sub in somebody for the finals game. Well, that's not the team that made it to finals, or one of their alternates. And so all of a sudden, all this planning that went into trying to plan around this team and the information, it changes. And this also leans into where this will probably burn some teams. There's teams that want to do an emergency sub and feel like they should be able to. They're going to be hurt by this, but it's something we have to hold to in order to maintain the integrity of the competition. And that is paramount. If you cannot trust the competition to find the best team, then what's the point of the competition? Might as well just say, whatever, just throw things at the wall, it doesn't matter. This leans into, I'm going to be expecting team captains to manage their teams, to say, hey, this is an all-day tournament. Well, the format is, we're going to go over the format a little bit more, but the format is very clear, and that should let you know about how long it's going to take. Now, since we're still small, the first time you're in one of these events, is the first time you really realize, oh, this is a long day. This is playing a lot of games. And it sneaks up on you, especially if you get into the Final Four. So that's, I can anticipate some friction, but it's something we're going to have to hold to. Next is players must register with their own Riot account. Account sharing is not allowed and will result in expulsion from the event and a potential ban from future events. This rule is unique in that the punitive measure is spelled out in the rule itself. It is that important that account sharing is not allowed, that the punitive measure is you will be expelled and you might get banned just right away. Number 9, if a player is expelled from the event, the team can continue to play even with less than a full team fielded. This rule exists because I think it's cool. It doesn't necessarily have to exist. It's not likely it will ever happen, but if somebody, for example, gets expelled because they are caught account sharing, a team can go, cool, well, we're still going to play with 4 players. Because why not? That seems pretty cool to me, actually, to allow that. So that is the gist of that one. Let's go to the next one. Teams must post their OPGG information in the correct Discord channel, or the Discord channel listed, as soon as possible after registration. We're also a little loose with this. Maintaining the OPGG chat and sheet is a lot of work, and like I discussed earlier, is OPGG is going to get you a lot, not inaccurate data, but a lot of missing data. We had a little bit of the discussion around that before. And Shazbot, yes, Summoner's Code is still a thing. You don't have it memorized? Oh, I actually used to have it memorized to be able to get on people for that, but it's just don't be mean. So Snap called out. I don't. Oh, are you talking about me calling you out for the Summoner's Code? Yeah, you don't know the Summoner's Code? Well, let me look up the Summoner's Code. I believe it is the 4 points, right? 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's more than 4 points. Okay. It's you actually, whenever you make a new account, you agree to the Summoner's Code. You haven't made a new account yet? Why do I know that? Well, okay, so everybody had to agree to it when the new Summoner's Code was made. And 2, I was not 16. Well, they updated it. What is the current Summoner's Code? Let me actually find that real quick. Oh, Summoner's Code is the old version. It's actually called the Code of Conduct. Oh, I need to update the rules. It's Riot's Code of Conduct. It is okay. The Code of Conduct is the 4 points. It is a more lame name, Shazbot. However, summoners don't exist anymore, so they had to get rid of it. Okay. Yeah, it is the 4 points. Compete to win, respect my teammates, protect myself and my community, be my own last line of defense. Yeah. Okay. The summoner's code is something else. So actually, we're gonna do some live editing. Imagine that. So we're gonna. So let's see here. Ooh, am I blind? Okay, by Ritos. Code of conduct. Yep, that's a change that I have to make, because Summoner's Code is actually no longer a thing, but everybody, if you have a Riot account, you agreed to this, and we're saying you have to agree to that here as well. And then basic expectations of conduct, that's reasonable conduct. Let's see here. Okay, back to must post their OPGG information. We are a little loosey-goosey with this, and the big issue with that is it's incomplete data, and it's something where I believe the more you play organized play, the less you're going to use OPGG, except for maybe new teams. But even then, most of the time, see what you can do for some scouting for yourself. When you get into game, you can try to plan around this. I will be getting a lot of pushback on my opinions on this. I am in the minority when it comes to players. But just like the other feedback said, well, alternates shouldn't be a thing. There's no way to enforce that. And like we covered earlier, organized play is different than ladder play. And organized play is not going to come up on your OPGG unless you have an account specifically for that, which I think that is fine, having an alternate account for that, but then you're not going to have really a rank to speak of, which then that's technically a way to hide your skill level. So that's... how do we write a rule that takes all of that into account? It's not really possible. Okay, this last one was added. Team captains or another team representative must join the captain's meeting that happens 30 minutes before tournament start to check in their team and receive final instructions. The team captains, and then other people who have joined the captain's meeting, in fact, anybody is welcome to join the captain's meeting. The main issue why it's not necessarily easy to join is because I don't want to ping every player when I start the captain's meeting, but I want to ping every captain when I start the captain's meeting. So this is something where I'm going to probably allow players to join. It'll be more open, and I'll just ping the team captains in a different channel. But that is something to consider. As far as the captain's meetings go, it's basic information. It actually covers specific... in fact, I have my list of specific information I have to cover in the captain's meeting. First is confirming the amount of rounds that we play today. So it's like there are this amount of teams, there are 10 teams, therefore there are 4 rounds, confirming there are 4 rounds going into the Swiss rounds. I go how to find your match, how to get into your match, go to Battlefy, copy the tournament code, where to put in the tournament code, and the expectation is our team captains share with their team, or the team captain can get into the lobby and then invite their team. And then the instruction, I actually forgot last time, but because we use Battlefy, it updates the scoring yourself. but it is still important that you check to make sure the system was correct, that the system reported it properly. It is still your responsibility to make sure your score is correct. If it is not correct, you let the tournament organizer know as soon as possible, because we want to keep things rolling. And then the last thing that's on the captain's checklist that is the streamed game does not start when the captains are told to start their game. There's a message that goes out to the team captain saying, hey, you can start your game now. It's also in the team captain's chat where we post which teams are getting streamed, because I don't want to, as the tournament organizer, talk to every player. I want to interface with just the set people. Otherwise, it starts to get really crazy. So teams can start when they're told in Discord, but the people on stream only start when the observer tells them to start, because especially as we start getting to either like sponsored spots, segments, things we want to cover before the game starts proper, they have to hold on. They can do the what's it called? Draft tools. They can use their draft tools and get ready to hit start game, but they cannot start the game proper until they are told. A team requests 2 captains. There should only be 1 captain, but there is no rule that there can be 2 team captains, like 2 representatives. This is actually happened last tournament. Somebody said, a team captain said, I can't make the team meeting. Can somebody else do it? I said, absolutely. Because the team captain name is basically just the team representative, somebody who interfaces with the tournament organizer. So I don't have to go track down somebody from your team. I have a point of contact. The team captain used to be called the point of contact role, or POC, point of contact. I changed that to team captains. It was a little bit more clear of kind of the expectation, but it does muddy it up just a little bit, as well as sometimes a lot of teams will have a team captain like be the coach, and the coach can be, even though the coach is not a player, the coach can take the role of the team captain. But it's basically a representative of the team to the tournament, so that any information that I have, I can talk to the team captain and have somebody I can go to. And so choose your team captain that you trust will be responsive. The next part of our rules is the format. Most of this is just a little bit of changes. Format 3 to 5 Swiss rounds. That depends on entrance. Each Swiss round will be best of 1 match. Match is just added. That's the only change. Just for clarity, the top 4 teams after Swiss rounds are complete will compete in a single elimination bracket in best of 1 matches to determine the champion. And then this was added. Seeding for the top 4 cut is determined by their Swiss stage ranking. That is to say, first place will go against 4th place, second place will go against 3rd place. That is standard bracket seeding for 4 entrants, 4 teams. And there was a team, happened last tournament, was their semifinals was like, we just fought these guys. I'm like, seeding go burr. That's just how it goes sometimes. And because of how Swiss rounds work, because the top 4 cut are the top 4 teams, it is almost always going to happen where the top 4 teams are going to have gone against each other in the semifinals. They fought each other before, and the finals will have fought each other before. And so that's another way to kind of stress test your strategies, is when you go against another team, how do you adapt to that team, especially in the Final Four? That's why I like the Final Four being able to be top cut into semifinals and finals. Even though we lose the best of 3, having more teams able to get a little bit more competitive that way, while still giving a lot of games to more teams. That's one of those trade-offs that we have. I am still a fan of it. Next up, we have our own code of conduct. Be respectful to other teams and players. Be on time to games. Begin rounds promptly. Do not use excessive foul language. Insults beyond common banter is prohibited. Has replaced not allowed. And this rule is strictly there because we love banter. It's fun. It adds to the competitive spirit and competitive nature of events like this. Whenever I'm able to be the observer in the tournament and see the banter before games, I've loved it every time. It is, I believe, a healthy thing that can be encouraged. However, there is a line. And so don't be overly insulting. Don't use excessive foul language. GG easy is reportable. It is rude. Like, don't be rude. Be competitive. And where is that line? That's most of this will come in the form of, hey, be careful with how you word things. If you don't know the other team, because a lot of the policing around this is if the other team finds it insulting. It's like when you're at work and you have harassment training, it's the same kind of thing. It's about who is affected. It's about impact. Remember, intent and impact are two different things, and you have to worry about impact more than intent. So if you're not sure, you can ask them directly. You can say, hey, can we be a little bit more bantery? Can we go a little bit harder on this? And if it's like, nah, I'm not really comfortable with that yet, there's your answer. You can ask directly. Imagine that communication. But it's rivalries, mid-diff, draft gap, unlucky ? Maybe. But there are also times where I see mid-diff and it's a joke because it's the loser saying mid-diff. Right? So where's the impact with that? That's I get it. He's saying I'm the bad one. It's more self-deprecating. Sure. That self-deprecating is allowed a lot more because you're only putting yourself down. Define common banter? No. That's not... That common banter is self-defined. If you don't know, and if you're not sure, do not say it. Saying unlucky, I don't think that would be really insulting. I rarely have seen unlucky be insulting. I can't think of any instances off the top of my head. But yeah, it is common banter is self-defined, and you can take that to mean as if you are not sure, do not say it. But there are times where you can say things to your friend. You can say GG easy to your friends. Your opponents are not necessarily your friends. They can be, but if you don't know them, just don't say it. It is quite literally that simple. Nobody's putting a gun to your head and saying, say GG easy. You can be respectful. So the last rule is follow directions given by tournament staff. That one's pretty straightforward. Next is the broadcast section, just the general instructions for if your team is selected for broadcast, your team may be chosen to be shown on the tournament broadcast. Teams will be notified before round start of which match was selected to be broadcast. If your team is selected, and we removed this part because it's not useful anymore, You will create the game lobby normally and invite the tournament observer to the game lobby. Because we're using Battlefy and tournament codes, we don't need that. Then you will not start the match until directed by the tournament observer. The tournament observer is a part of tournament staff. Their instructions are to be followed as such. That's to, code of conduct. In fact, this is likely there are little tweaks we're making all the time, and in fact, next time I'll probably move this to probably number 11 to follow directions given by tournament staff, because that should actually be in the general rules now that I think about that. But we're setting this as the rules, and I'll next admin's office will cover more of that. The next set is what happens during violations. A team found in violation can be punished by removing bans in a game, relinquishing side pick, game loss, or disqualification at the tournament organizer's discretion. A player violating rules or code of conduct can be counted as representing their team. A team can be punished for the actions of a player. Because that's where, like, removing bans, if somebody says something rude, overly rude, you can remove a ban. You lost it for your team. This is a team game. And if anybody wants to fight against that, I say it's like, well, if you have your jungler just decide not to show up, your team loses. What's the difference? It isn't a difference. You are playing as a team. And while disqualification is usually going to be as the player instead of the team as a whole, as well as like bans and such would happen at a player level rather than a team level, it is still possible that can happen at a team level. Next up is just the general match rules, a little bit different than the general tournament rules. How do you run a match? Here are the game settings. If you have to make the match, for example, if Battlefy fails, in fact, I think we can add we don't have to really add instructions of if Battlefy fails, you can just remake the match. So, or like make the lobby yourself. That's fine if the tournament code just gets broken. But the team that gets to pick which side to play on will be done by random determination the teams agree to, usually a coin flip. The teams can call for a tournament official to make the coin flip if there's disagreement. This was removed because Battlefy has the coin flip. And the exception is for finals after the first game. We don't have a best of 3 of the finals, so we removed that for this rule set. If we get best of 3 events, that'll definitely be added back in. Either team may request to use a third-party drafting tool for pick ban phase. The game must still be played as a tournament draft game. We don't need this rule anymore because of tournament codes. But if the tournament codes fail, match rules are defined here. Either team can call for a double-blind roster pick instead of team. This means that if a team has alternates, a team will submit their roster of players for the specific game. The tournament official will then reveal both rosters for the game. That is relatively straightforward. Kodo Draco, GG Easy is 100% not common banter. 100%. GG Easy is very rude and is a reportable offense. Let's see. I feel like having common banter being written but not providing allowed/disallowed examples opens the door for a lot of people saying things production feels is not allowed. And sure, that leans into be conservative. If you can't say it to just some random person, do not say it. This is a lot easier than people make it out to be. And a lot of people are more sensitive than you think. Sure, language evolves, but GG Easy is rude. That's one of the clearest examples. there have been that you can say that to friends, you cannot say that to strangers. So once again, that goes back to, if you're not sure, just don't say it. Because here's the thing, if we start defining specific terms, now we have to do that to everything, and then that becomes the entire rule set. And it goes, oh, well, in this case, it'll be... If you're not sure, just don't say it. It can't be defined, and especially because as language evolves, like Shazbot is calling out, this is something where I cannot really teach you how to be a respectful person. Unfortunately, I can only set the rules, and unfortunately, that's one of those things where you do have to treat it like the workplace at times, or you treat it like school. For our non-adult audience, is you can't just go around saying things that you could say around your friends just around strangers. That's how the world works in general. And because common banter changes constantly, we should not define it in the tournament rules. And if it seems like I'm being like overly loose, yeah, it's because we have to be. It's difficult to give different examples because if you give the example GGEZ a year from now, it might be different. But right now, it never feels good. It's never funny. And maybe that's a me thing. Okay. Then that's just the unfortunate thing where the tournament organizer, I guess, is in the minority. But I play plenty of League, and I see it pretty much as often as you do. And I play with a lot of different people, and the vast majority of the time, it's not even close. It is always upsetting. Vast majority of the time, it is upsetting. So I know I'm hitting this real hard, and I'm probably hitting this harder than I should, to be honest. But this is why this difference in opinion goes into cool. If you're already going into that is now no longer common banter. That is that gets into rude territory, and we can avoid that altogether by just you don't have to type in all chat. Let's see here. Next thing, if there's a client bug where players are not able to swap champions, basically if there's a bug, you can remake it. Easy peasy. And then last, as draft tools are available, teams must be in lane order during champ select where possible. But this does not bar teams from choosing to swap roles in the middle of champ select. This is another example of why like alt accounts or OPGG can be misleading. Because if I have a pocket pick Jhin, I main support, but we start getting into where our last pick and Jhin happens to be the way to clinch it, I should be able to go into that ADC role, even though I was first planning to go into support role, and I should be able to swap into that. That's what this rule is explicitly allowing. And because we should, as a team, be able to play our best strategy, is I can pick that champion, swap to the ADC, have the ADC go into just a general support. Let's say Jhin, for a specific thing we've been having as a pocket pick, because that's also part of the excitement. Somebody pulls out a pocket pick for a specific strategy. For example, the Misfortune support that happened a while ago. That was a specific pick against Zyra. Stuff like that should be rewarded and should be in this case, as we have explicitly allowed. And so that's why we say we must be in lane order where possible, but you can still swap. And so lane swap, role swap, yes. And it's just, if you're planning to go top lane, be in that top slot, and then jungle, mid, ADC support, because that's easier on production, easier for readability. Our overlay is going to get better. It is still in beta. League of Broadcast is still very cool. There's still a lot of weird bugs, especially since it was completely broken last time. But there you go. That's the current rules update. Yeah, that was a lot of talking. The last part is, do we have any more questions? I think I caught most of what people were talking about. Does anybody have a game they would like me to review? Have a little bit more of a casual game review for things. If not, let's see if I don't have a recent game to review, actually. I mean, we only have our limited viewer set. I think we have a bunch of people playing right now in a scrim. Here we go. So if we don't have a game review right now, I want to try to do a game review. So let's see if I can pull something up. Oh, I really just don't have anything. I have not been playing Summoner's Rift lately. I don't want to review my games anyway. I'm not as competitive as I used to be. Just a lot of Doom bots. But if we don't have anything, then I think that'll be the end for today. Catch next week. It probably won't go nearly as long for this first part. We definitely want to go over feedback and have this kind of thing. We have sometimes some really hard stance to uphold, and other times we want to have just kind of the back and forth of how things are going. But thank you for joining, thank you for listening, and yeah, we'll see you on the Rift.